When you're thinking about putting an offer on a home, it's so important to know what the listing agent, the agent that represents the seller, what the listing agent's strategy is historically of listing a home relative to where it sells. You should look at the name of the agent on the listing and then go to other listings that they have sold and see what is the average closing price to list price. That's the way you're going to find out, is this an agent whose strategy is to tend to underprice the listing, create competitive tension, and get above, or is it an agent who tends to overprice and let the buyer feel like they're getting a discount? Let's take an example. I'm representing a buyer. I'm an agent. My buyer really likes this home. The home is $1 million. And the buyer says, I really want this home. What should we offer? I would look at the agent who is representing the seller, and I would look over the last 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months in the platform to see the average sale price relative to list price. So I can see the strategy that that agent usually uses in this market for this property type, for a home with the same number of beds in the same price range. And let's say this home is a 2-bedroom. And over the last 6 months, this agent sold 10 homes that were 2 bedrooms, and those 10 homes have sold at 5% less than the list price that they were listed at. Then I would go to the buyer and say, I know you really want this property. Historically, this agent has overpriced 5% relative to where it actually sells. So let's start off at 6% less and let them bid us up to 5, knowing that on average, it's very likely they're going to want 5% relative to the actual ask price. All right, I feel good about this. Buying a home is an entrepreneurial effort just like any other entrepreneurial effort, and entrepreneurs have to move fast. And so if a home just came on the market and you really like it, go look at it quickly. If you really like this home, then put in an offer quickly. I've never understood why buyers, if there's no offers on a home, why don't they just put in an offer? There's no reason not to at least put in an offer. And if anything, it's helpful for the entire real estate market, because if every buyer put in their realistic offer, it gets sellers to become more realistic. It brings people closer to each other and lets people know where the actual market is. But you can also get lucky, and if you would, this is the offer you would actually, you would feel good about, then you should put in that offer, and you may get accepted. The quality of the relationship between agents matters because it helps in the negotiation. If a seller agent has 2 bids and they're both equal, let's say $1 million each, one is from a buyer that's unrepresented or that's represented by an agent who's this seller agent's never worked with, they're not going to be able to feel that there's a lot of confidence that that bid is a real bid. But if the other $1 million offer is from a buyer who's represented by an agent that the seller agent has worked with 100 times before, and the buyer agent says, trust me, this offer is good. By the way, if the offer is $990,000, but it's from the agent that the seller agent really respects and knows and trusts, they'll take the $990,000 offer over the $1 million offer from the buyer that's unrepresented or the buyer that's with an agent that the seller agent doesn't know. Because it's about confidence, about certainty. So much of getting the right price, whether you're trying to get the right price as a seller or as a buyer, is negotiating strategy. And that's where the agent is a professional. For any buyer that is looking to buy a home, you should move incredibly fast to see the homes that you want. You should move very fast to put in offers that are realistic, but you should move slow when it comes to providing a counteroffer. So let's say you put in an offer and the counteroffer was much higher than you're willing to pay. don't come back quickly. Make the seller wait. Make the seller wonder, is the buyer going to come back? Make the seller ask their agent, when's the buyer going to come back with the counter? When are they going to come back? Make them anxious, right? That's negotiation. There is a time where it's a waste of time, where you feel like you are just wasting time and energy with someone who's not realistic and has expectations that are not grounded in a reality that you are that is consistent with your view of the world. That's when you have to give up. And so if you want to put in an offer, again, let's say you want to put an offer at $1 million and the seller comes back at 1.5. And then you come back at 1,050,000 and the seller comes back at 1.5. It's time to say, okay, I'll see you later.